Tony Robbins.
Good to see you again, Eric.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about you, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
You're always doing good.
Well, I am, and I know you are too. So many amazing things. It's so fun to watch you have an impact around the world.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
I'm not kidding. You're leaving such a huge footprint right now. Last year at GoPro Recruiting Mastery, you blew everybody away.
Thank you.
3.5 hours of just total intention and people had breakthroughs that were just unbelievable. Yeah. They learned how to control their emotional and mental state and how important that was.
Yeah.
And watch what you did. One of the coolest things for this last year that I think for my friends that don't know that much about you is you came out with this film.
Yeah, documentary, yeah.
A documentary. I'm Not Your Guru.
Yes.
And they went behind the scenes of your Date with Destiny event, and I didn't think that they could pull it off. Yeah. When I heard about the idea, I thought it was going to be like Game of Thrones. It was going to have to be 6 series, 6 years.
It's a 72-hour seminar.
Yeah. How do you turn this into a movie?
Yeah.
But talk about that experience and just in the last, 3 weeks since it's been out, it's been viewed millions of times already.
2.5 million people have already seen it in 2.5 weeks. So I'm really pleased.
Yeah. Tell me what that experience was like and what you hope to accomplish.
Well, I wasn't looking to do a documentary. I actually met Joe Berlinger, who's the filmmaker, documentarian. He's 2-time Academy Award nominee, 2-time Emmy winner, 2-time Peabody winner, just brilliant guy. And I'd seen Metallica. He did this one on Metallica, which is interesting because you have these hardcore metal guys who hate each other now, and they've been together all these years, and they got to figure out how to navigate to the next level of their life. So it's a real psychological film. And then he made 3 documentaries over 2 decades to get 3 guys that were innocent off death row, and he did it successfully. So I met him at a party, and I had great respect for him. And I was struck by how, like many successful people, unfortunately, he was not fulfilled. I mean, if you save 3 human beings' lives, that should be enough, you would think. You know, you had a couple Academy Award nominations, a couple Emmys, you know, your life is pretty well set, beautiful family. But most people succeed aren't fulfilled. And it's the biggest frustration because they think that more money or more opportunity or more accolades was going to do it, and it doesn't. And so I knew what would do it, what would transform his life. I knew if he came to an event, and specifically Date with Destiny was coming up, which is my most intense event. So I invited him, and he later told me, he said, you know, I'm not a seminar guy. I'm not into music. I'm not into sharing my private, personal life with anybody else. And he was very intense. He also told me when I first met him, he goes, look, I'm the most negative guy you're ever going to meet. He said, because, Frank, it's not my fault. He goes, I've, done, uncovering how the FBI has abused things, uncovering the abuse by corporate America. I mean, all the films he make are about horrible things. He calls them feel-bad films. And, but I invited him to come. He went to the program. In the first 2 hours, he wanted to run. He's just
just too intense.
Too intense. And he called his wife and said, this guy's so nice to me. What's my exit strategy without pissing him off? He said, because I can't stay here 6 more days. I can't stay here 6 more hours. She said, honey, you never even take a 6-day vacation. For you, something struck you when you met this man to come out here. And I think you should give it 24 hours. So he stayed for the 24 hours, and I did a process where, a lot of times people have inner conflicts. And a lot of people on MLM have this, right? The conflict of, I want to be a multimillionaire, I want to be the most successful person, and I never want to be rejected, and it just doesn't go together. And I felt his conflicts, she felt those, and so I did a process where very often those conflicts come from a long time ago. I'm not into analyzing your past, but I do know that very often we made decisions decades ago that affect us today. They affect people in your business. And so what I try to do is get people to remember their earliest memory. And whenever I talk about it, you can see people search, even you right now, as I mentioned it, see you searching, right, finding it. And what I found is your earliest memory is not your earliest memory. It's just the one you've attached to. And when I find a memory earlier than that, it liberates you from anything that was limiting you. And so he woke up out of this process I did, it's about 45 minutes long. And he said, I'm not a crier. And he said, I couldn't stop crying. And he said, but it was beautiful. He felt like a weight was lifted. So he decided to play full out and not judge it. And he had the most incredible experience. And then while he was doing it, I guess 3 or 4 days into it, he's like, this is so cinematic because the interventions I do, like in every event, it's always different. That's what I love. I play with no net. But it's so riveting. And here you see this raw, real, you never know what's going to happen. If somebody stands up and they made $500 million and they're bored or they're suicidal or what. I mean, when you have that many people, 2,500 people from 77 countries, you get this massive diversity. And so when his event, he saw these huge changes. Like he saw this man who was, just came out of, Afghanistan. He's a Marine, he's a Marine sergeant. He buried 32 of his buddies, if you can imagine. And he'd been on 5 trips, 5 tours, between Iraq and Afghanistan. And when he came to the seminar, he held the microphone and it was literally shaking. I'm not exaggerating this much. He had dark glasses on because he had light sensitivity, right? Because he has PTSD. And he couldn't sleep at night, insomnia, headaches. And I brought him on stage and it took me about 45 minutes and this stopped completely. And then within 15 minutes, I got the glasses off so he could look right into the light with no pain. And then we followed up with him, obviously. And about a year later, I brought him on CNN. And I showed them the film of just, him, what he was originally. And so when he walked in the room, the producer, I should say, for CNN, started crying. And I said, why are you crying? She goes, I saw the video of him before, and he's like a movie star now. He's so different. So Jaws saw that. Joe saw a woman, her name is Rain, whose face was really disfigured and she was suicidal. In any room of 2,500 people, there's always, anywhere in the world, there's an average of 12 people that are suicidal. People just don't realize it. And there was a man there that was suicidal who was blinded. And I put them together so you can imagine I have this blind man touching this woman's face, telling her how beautiful she is and what he feels for her. Wow. And she's crying, healing. The whole room's crying, healing. So he didn't know if that was going to happen again.
Yeah, was it just one time?
Yeah, it was a one time.
Yeah.
But he wanted to make a film with a cinema to it and cinematic view to it. So he thought I was just going to say yes. And he came and thanked me profusely for the event and then said, I want to make a documentary with you.
You're like,
and anybody who's got Joe Berlinger saying that, you'd want to say yes. But I was like, nope. And he couldn't believe it. And the reason I said nope was I see 200,000 people a year. And I only see 2,500 people a day with Destiny. And, 2,500 people to see, you got to project the screen. So we have cameras, but they're long lenses. To have somebody right here while you're changing your life, I said, I'm just not going to let that happen. It'll disturb people. And he kept trying to convince me. So about every 3 months for 2 years, he came at me and finally said, what if I go and if I disturb anybody, you shut it down, I lose everything. So you have no risk. And I said, if you won't do that, I'll do it. So we did it. And I was also skeptical, just like you, like, how are you going to convert 12, 13, 14-hour days, 6 of them to less than 2 hours? Yeah. But that's why he's got the Academy Awards. That's why he's got all the awards that he's
really
done.
Cinematic.
We've been in 14 film festivals, and we've won tons of awards. And people, when you watch a great movie, you associate to the character and you feel what they feel. Well, this isn't fake. This is the real thing. So when these people transform, you transform with them. So it's on Netflix. It's 190 countries. It's translated in every major language around the world.
And if you have Netflix, it's absolutely free.
It's free.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. So if you're watching, you should watch it. The stories are amazing. Yeah. The process is amazing. It's very emotional.
You'll laugh, you'll cry. Yeah. But you'll also get a sense of some of the things we're going to do together when I come to this,
for sure. For the event. One thing I want to talk about is these interventions.
Yes.
We're right now, as we're speaking, you're in the middle of your business mastery.
Yes,
event.
I am.
Okay, so right smack dab in the middle, we yank you out to be able to have this conversation while they're having a meal or something, exactly right. In their seats. I watch you do this over and over, and how can you have a person stand up and they think they have this problem, but it's not that problem. Yeah. It's a different problem.
Yeah.
How do you get to the core of a solution for this human being so quickly? Because all of us in network marketing, guess what? We've got people with amazing potential.
Yeah.
And we fall in love with that potential.
Yeah.
And we see that they're stuck.
Yeah.
And we want to try and figure out a way to help them. And sometimes we do it with compassion. And you do it with compassion, but it's pretty tough compassion.
Well, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, but you don't let them. You don't let them just sit in that dark spot.
I don't.
How did you figure out how to help them with that breakthrough? Help them with that intervention.
I've been obsessed my whole life with understanding what makes the difference in people. What makes a Richard Branson, he'll be speaking, I think, with us again. Richard's a good friend of mine. And, what's different about Richard versus the average business person? What's different about the person who's so happy? And you can find multi-billionaires that are miserable. What's the difference? And so I've been obsessed for 38 years, this is my 39th year doing this. So I could be an idiot at this point. And I have to see there's patterns. There's patterns that make people angry and sad and overwhelmed and fearful and stressed out. And there's patterns that make people passionate and driven and hungry and alive and filled with awe and excitement. And so once you know what those patterns are, there's really no limit. So once I started figuring those out, that's when I started getting the call, because I could produce results so quickly because I knew exactly how to rewire somebody. So I get the call when, the child is suicidal. Knock on wood, I've never lost one suicide in 39 years. Doesn't mean I won't someday, but I haven't out of thousands, and we follow up and we make films about them and show where they are. I get the phone call when, for example, the business person's melting out and they don't know what to do in their business. I get the phone call when, President of the United States, true story, President Clinton calls me and says, they're going to impeach me in the morning. What should I do? And I'm like, call me sooner? Because you called me sooner? That's the first freaking thing you should have done, right? So by being in these situations where I had to produce the result, Eric, there's something incredibly valuable about putting yourself on the line. There's something incredibly valuable about not having a net. When people have a security net, the mind tends to run for what's easy. And our hearts are much more strong than our spirits more strong than that. So my entire thing was play without a net, put yourself on the line. If I want to take the island, I burn my boats. Because I know if I leave the boats there, if there's a way out, this brain of yours, it's a 2 million year old brain. It's not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you survive. So this brain that used to have to look out for a saber-toothed tiger now gets all fearful and makes you fight or flight about what are people thinking of me? Or do I have enough money? And I know a lot of people who get in multi-level marketing, they do it because they can have their own business without a huge investment. It's one of the great things about network marketing. And you don't have to do all the back end, the accounting and all that stuff. It's so perfect. It's what destroys most people in business is all that other stuff. So it's a great piece. But you also see people that join network marketing, and because it's easy to get in, they don't take it as a professional like you do. It's one of the reasons I want to come and do this with you and why I respect you so much, Eric, is you're creating professionalism in this business, because it is an extraordinary profession done properly. But what I found really is you've got to make that shift psychologically inside your head. And when you say, these interventions, what makes the interventions work is I have seen there's only so many patterns. And now once I know what those are, I could be an idiot. I could help somebody to change. And now I don't ever stop learning. And what I would encourage every person in network marketing to do is to learn to become a practical psychologist, not a proctologist, a practical psychologist. So you heard that correctly. Meaning it'd be so useful. And when the breakthrough I want to help your team understand and your family of clients is if you understand that motive does matter. That everyone's motivation is different. Like if someone says, I'm not motivated, it's not true. If they're fat, they're motivated to eat, right? Yeah. If they're not doing the calls or whatever it is, not following through, they're motivated to avoid rejection. We got to find what your motive for action is, and then we got to either rewire it or come up with a new version. But until you know what's really driving someone, you're going to try and inspire people. You're going to try to motivate people. You're going to try to lead people, and you're going to do it your way. And so all of us are good with people who are like us. Yeah. But if you're going to be a professional, if you're going to grow geometrically, if you're going to become wealthy, you can't just serve people that are just like you. You've got to figure out, what does this person in front of me need? I want to know, what do you desire most? What do you fear most? Because life is the dance between what you desire most and what you fear most. And most people let the fear one control them more. And what's beautiful about network marketing is it gives you room to still have fear and get in the game because you're still scared because you're new. But you can develop yourself to a point where you can own a business where you can make a bloody fortune, but without all the pain and challenges. But you do need to develop a little bit of what I do, not the same level I do, where you're able to read people more effectively, to know their needs, to know their desires, know their fears, so you can show them how to overcome those fears, so you can show them how to achieve what they really want. But everyone is different. It's not unlimited differences. That's the good news. They're like, for example, there are 6 human needs that we'll be covering there. And those needs, around the world, everyone has different goals and dreams and desires based on cultural conditioning, our background, our parents, but we have the same needs. When you meet those needs, people will become addicted to your product or service. So, there's a need for certainty, there's a need for variety, there's a need for significance, a need for love, a need for growth, a need for contribution. If you find a way to meet 1 or 2 of people's needs through your product or service, they're going to like you, they're going to like the product. If you find a way to get them to associate meeting at least 3 needs to that product or service, they will be addicted to that product or service forever. And that product or service could be growth, leadership, serving, network marketing, or your kids getting to clean their room. But motivation to me is I hate the word because most people's idea of motivation is a pump up. And I believe in energy. You know that, man. I know how to crank myself, the room, the people.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but if you don't attach to that strategy and skill, then you're like a chicken with your head cut off. If you got all the skill and you have no energy, you're not going to follow through. If you got all the energy and no skill, you're going to be ineffective. So I believe they have to be blended. And these interventions, they come from their, 39 years of being with, at this stage, 100 million people, 50
Yeah,
million people in reality, that at this point I'd be an idiot not to see those patterns. But what's great is I can teach people those patterns now, and that's part of what I'm going to teach as part of the breakthrough when they come.
The most amazing thing to me, as I'm sitting through Business Mastery,
yes,
every time you do an intervention,
yes,
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Like occasionally I'll get lost in the story,
yeah,
but mostly
yeah,
I'm going, okay, how can I apply this to a person who is going to be hurting that I'm going to run into?
Yeah.
And how can I use it? And how can I break that pattern?
Yeah.
And how can I get them to see what the real problem is?
Yeah.
Because when I've done coaching before, it's 4 or 5 questions in, 6 questions in. There it is.
You find it.
And you find it, and you say, okay, then you can go from there. And that's what I think people are going to be able to learn from you.
Without a doubt.
And you did that last year. This year, you're going to take it to another level.
I am.
Another part of what you're going to do, and I was fascinated with, when you came out right away and said, Eric's got these 7 skills to becoming a network marketing professional. I got one more. And really, I don't think it's the 8th skill. I think it's the first skill. Because if you get that one,
the others will follow.
The other 7 will follow.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is how to control your state. And that sounds to the outside person, what does that mean to control your state?
Yeah.
But to watch how you can help somebody change their emotional and mental and spiritual, physical state to be able to impact the rest of their life. And to be able to do it in a minute, in a moment, and not lose, because you know what I see people doing? They go into a little bit of a coma, kind of, and they lose a day.
Deer in the headlights.
They lose a day, they lose a week, they lose a month, and pretty soon a year's gone.
Yeah.
And
then they lost momentum. When you lose momentum, you start thinking it's not going to work. Your brain takes over. The story takes over. This isn't right for me. I'm not skilled enough.
Right.
And all you need to do to stop all that and have more of your people win is teach them how to be in a peak state. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. The
chokehold on the growth of any business, including anybody who has a multi-level marketing business, always is the psychology and the skills of the owner, the psychology and the skills of the leader. So let's talk about that. 80% of success in any profession I've ever worked with people in, sports, business, entertainment, network marketing, 80% of whether you're going to succeed or fail is psychology. Meaning, is your psychology one of such resiliency? Is there a set of emotions in you that pour you forward? Are you flexible enough when the challenge comes to shift? Have you developed a way of looking at life that allows you to succeed in any environment as opposed to pull you backward or pulls you apart, right? So, and then you need certain skills. And one of the skills is leadership, right? And when someone talks about persuasion or salesmanship, those words have mixed feelings. But influence in leadership is the most important skill in life. If there's anything we need in this country, look at the presidential candidates. Most people are not enthralled with either one. Some are big fans of one or the other. But for most people who are looking at this going, this is a crazy election. And the reason is because you look at these people and you don't see that leadership skill or ability. You see a politician. A politician will tell you what you want to hear. A leader will tell you the truth. A leader is going to influence you to do something. They're going to be able to change the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are limiting you. And that's what I want to train your teams to be able to do in the time that we have. I'm going to give them some incredible skills. We're going to do some exercises to get them there. But let's talk about state. State is everything. Whenever I talk to people and say, how many of you want a breakthrough? Now, you don't want to just learn more. You want a breakthrough. You want something where we've all had an area of our life where we've struggled with something for years, with smoking, drinking, not following through, procrastinating, whatever the hell it is, some upset. And maybe finally one day you were disappointed, you didn't get yourself to follow through, you kept promising, and one day you finally get pissed off enough, or frustrated enough, or angry enough, or excited enough that you go, not another day, not another hour, I'm changing this now, right? And when that happens in a human being, change happens in a moment. Change does not take 10 years. Change takes a moment always. It took people often 10 years to get to the moment where they say, no more, screw you, I love you, I quit, let's get married, I do. And our life changes in those moments. But those moments are state moments, meaning our mental, emotional, physical state controls us. So if you're in a pissed off, frustrated state, you have the capability to be nice, but you probably won't be even if you're a nice person. Like nice people can be mean when they get in a mean state. Mean people can be nice when they get in a great state. So my whole piece is to show people how to shift that state, because you can have the best strategy in the world, but you won't follow through if you don't feel like it. Right. And feel like it is, do you have a mindset? Do you have a set of belief structures? Do you have a psychology that says, I've tried everything? That psychology, you're screwed, right? Or do you have one that is relentless? And what will change your story, what will change the way you look at your life, is what is the habitual emotional state you go into. So everybody has, Eric, an emotional home, right? We have a mutual friend, Sam, and I love Sam to death. And everybody calls him, Smiling Sam, because no matter what happens, Sam has some key emotions he always comes home to. It's like his home address. Yep. And one of them is this little sense of joy and happiness. And that's why everybody loves Sam. I adore Sam. So we all know somebody who has the emotional habit of they walk in the building and suck the oxygen out of the building, right? Because they're just so negative, or they're so frustrated, they're so sad.
They're always stressed.
Or always feel. And by the way, they always find something to be upset about. If they're not upset with their own life, they'll find something about the country they'll be upset about, somewhere else. So we all have emotional homes. And like some people live in a city where every year we have a storm and it destroys the home, and they move back in and start all over again. I'm like, why don't you move, right? That's easy to see when it's a physical location. What most of us don't realize is we all have an emotional home. Everyone watching right now has an emotional home. You have some emotions that you'll find your way back there. Whether things go good or bad, you're going to find it. Good or bad, you're going to go to those emotions. Maybe it's time to change your home address, emotional address, because the quality of our life is our emotions. If you got $1 billion and where you live emotionally every day is pissed off and frustrated, quality of your life is not $1 billion. It's pissed off and frustrated. If you got 3 beautiful children and all you do is worry all the time, your life is worry. There is no love, right? You don't experience much love because you're always in your head on the worry side. So how do you change state is what we're going to teach. But just for a moment, fundamentally, most of us try to change our state by thinking differently. Total disaster. I mean, how many times, if you're listening and watching this, have you been in a place where you're like, I got to change how I feel, and you go this inner conflict? It doesn't really work with your head. But if you make a radical change in your body, like a change in the way you move, or the way you breathe, the way you use your voice, the way you make a gesture, we literally can change our biochemistry that fast, where it isn't this fake pump up where you're like, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, bunch of affirmations. It literally is, boom, I'm a different guy, I'm ready to rock and roll. Yep. And once you learn how to trigger that, which is what we'll do with your team, your clients here over and over again.
Fascinating.
It's incredible. It's a freedom most people never have, because most of us get stuck. We get stuck in our fear, stuck in our frustration, stuck in something, or even stuck in feeling happy, but we're not really connected to what it's about. So it's more of a fake happiness, right? But when you train yourself like a muscle to change how you feel that fast, it just becomes automatic. And I'm not going to share it here because I have a very specific, gigantic, the largest breakthrough that's happened in my life has happened since I saw you a year ago.
Really?
As all the years I've done what I've done, right? This is my 39th year. I started when I was 2, of course. That's my 39th year. In 39 years, the greatest growth I've had is this year. And it's growth not in just achievement, that I've done forever. It's growth in the level of enjoyment. It's beyond imagination, but I want to save it because I want people to hear it fresh when they come, and I want them to experience it rather than just me tell you verbally. But what I can promise you is, if you come and you listen and you participate, and anybody there will, as you know, you've seen it, even ones who don't think they're going to participate do, you will not only achieve more, you will have more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment with no exaggeration, no hyperbole, because I'm going to teach you a couple of simple strategies and insights that my wife will tell you, I tell you, my dearest friends will tell you. There's nothing in my life that's brought more joy. So I want to spread that joy to everybody I can. Yeah. So I'm not holding back, just hold back. It's just if I start to talk about it, it'll be verbal. You need to experience it, and your people need to experience it. But I know people are either going to come in person or they'll be online. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, last year we had 8,000 people, right? Guess how many people we're going to have this year?
I have no clue.
About 20,000.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that
Congratulations.
Something? Biggest gathering
of everybody there said they were going to come back. When we asked them
biggest gathering of entrepreneurs anywhere in the world.
That's beautiful.
So 20,000 people will be live and in person. We're almost sold out of,
I heard that.
Physical tickets.
I didn't know it was 20,000. I heard you almost sold out.
And we'll have an equal amount or more
online.
Watching all over the world, translated into languages all over the world. So it's super, super fun. Also, one of your dear friends, Sir Richard Branson.
Yeah, Richard's coming. I told me. Yeah, that's exciting.
Is going to be presenting. And
Richard is one of the most incredible. Everybody knows how Richard incredibly is, but when you get a chance,
what makes him amazing as far as what do you know about him that other people don't know? I mean, how does
I don't know what other people know, but I'll tell you the greatest thing about Richard is this is a man who has a hunger at. What is he, 66 now? He's in his mid-60s, right? That is the same as when he was 15 and he was starting, this music company in a crypt, right? In London. I mean, he is one of the most driven people, but he is a perfect example of what I want to teach people in that he also is having such a good time. How many guys do you know that are very successful entrepreneurs, but they're serious They're just so intense.
Not a lot of joy,
Not a lot of joy. he like his favorite phrase is just give it a go.
Yeah, screw it, let's do it.
Screw it, let's do it. Give it a go. And he really means it. You will be surprised though that are you going to interview Richard?
Yeah.
You'll want to interview him because he actually does not come across the way you think he is.
Right.
He's much more quiet and internal.
Yep.
That external personality is the fun-loving rock and roll kind of thing. But when he goes to speak, he's actually much more quiet and inside. So your interview will be best because you'll pull out those insights.
Sure.
But his hunger is what makes him unique. His unique passion for life is there. And this is a man who's obsessed with constantly doing more for others than anybody else, which I believe is the whole secret to wealth and the secret to business. If you become obsessed with falling in love with your client, not with your product or service, even your company, you want to fall in love with your client. And if you fall in love with them, what will you do for somebody you love? Anything. When people feel that as your clients, as your downline, as your friends, you will have a bond with them and you won't be dealing with the stuff that some of these MLMs deal with, which is, the backbiting that you and I know both happens very often in some of those environments. You'll have a team that's loyal to you.
I hope you're enjoying the Tony Robbins interview so far. There's a lot more to come, so make sure that you stay tuned. But I wanted to quickly talk to you about the event that Tony's mentioned several times, Go Pro Recruiting Mastery. That is December 1st through the 4th. Here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is the largest and most powerful and most trusted generic network marketing training event ever held. There'll be approximately 20,000 people in attendance at this event. Mr. Tony Robbins himself will be doing 3.5 hours of life-changing information. Sir Richard Branson, the most iconic entrepreneur maybe in the world, is also going to be attending, talking about how to think like an entrepreneur. I'm going to be bringing some of the best practices and skills and mindset and strategy of the best people in network marketing, how they're using these skills and mindset and strategy to be able to have more levels of success than ever before. And you're going to hear from $1 million earners in the network marketing profession as they share their secrets to success. So all of this celebration of network marketing, this celebration of the best ideas in network marketing, this personal growth that's going to come from it, all here in Las Vegas, one of the most fun locations you're ever going to find. So I encourage you to get a ticket for this event. Now, the live event is virtually sold out. There's going to be approximately 20,000 people in attendance at this event from all over the world. But you can still get a live streaming ticket. You can watch this on your phone, you can watch this on your tablet, on your computer, not only live, but you can watch it for 2 weeks after the event is completed. So if you don't have the time to watch the whole thing, the entire experience, you'll have 2 weeks to watch it as part of your live streaming ticket. And if you're watching this right now, I want you to know 2 things. One is there's limited space. We have limited capacity for the number of people that can watch via live stream because of technology. 2 is if you'll make a decision early, we'll give you a discount. If you want to be part of the early bird discount and get yourself a ticket, my recommendation to you is don't just watch by yourself. Invite some people over to your house. Maybe have a whole group of people get together and experience this together. And then set a resolution. Decide that you're going to attend this event live, because we do it once a year. It's grown in the last 7 years from 200 people all the way to 20,000 people. And why has it grown so much? Because people get results. If you're brand new and you're looking to build your network marketing business, this is what will help you experience a breakthrough. If you've been around for a while, maybe you plateaued, don't have the growth that you want, maybe you don't have the duplication, you're going to learn the secrets to unlocking that duplication in your organization. And if you're a high-level earner, sometimes you just need to see a bigger picture. And I guarantee you, this is going to show you a bigger picture on the skills, on the mindset, on the strategy, and also on the personal growth. I highly recommend that you take advantage of this event. And you can do so while you're watching the rest of this interview by clicking on the link that's connected to this video and get yourself a ticket. So do that and enjoy the rest of the interview. I had this huge transformation happen in my life in the last 5 years. Here's my old thought was, when I'm rolling, when I'm doing really well, I'm super generous.
Yeah.
When I'm not rolling, I need to focus on on rolling again, and I'm not going to be as generous.
That's wrong.
And it was wrong. I didn't know.
No one knows.
So Harvey McKay, you know Harvey.
Yeah, I know Harvey really well.
Harvey said his father told him that he needed to donate 20% of his time, not his money, to charity starting at age 21, and he did it for his whole life.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's about influence.
That's right.
It's not always about dollars. And we're very influential.
Yeah.
As far as network marketing, we can get so creative.
Look, you can do anything you want the way you wanted it.
Yeah, we can get so creative. The dollars here and there. We're meeting with people all the time. We're doing all this different kind of thing. We can pick the cause that's important to us, and we can get creative. So it's just not about us writing a check.
Yeah.
And I went, got it. And since then, millions and millions and millions of dollars, lots of creativity, lots of fun stuff.
And how does it make you feel?
Unbelievable.
People have no clue.
Fantastic.
When I wrote Money Master the Game, I ended up writing the last chapter, 670-page book, a little tiny little book.
Yeah.
But I interviewed 50 of the smartest people on the face of the planet. All people started with nothing. No Lucky Sperm Club guys.
Right.
They were all guys that earned it from
Self-made.
nothing. Right, self-made. And one of the greatest things that I found was lots of them are not happy. I mean, not fulfilled. They know what they're doing. They make money. So I pulled what they did know. And then I go to other people that are happy to be fulfilled. And it's rare you find them in the same person. Once in a while you do. Richard's one of those ones you really find that in. But one of the things that I found was I wrote a whole chapter and I found this research where now they know what changes your biochemistry. They can measure the changes of the chemicals in your saliva. And they know what gives you the most joy. And what gives people the most joy, if you buy things, you enjoy it for a little bit. If you buy experiences like events, traveling, education, whatever it is, those have the most profound effect of lifelong joy and happiness. But the one that's just slightly above experiences, meaning even more joy, is doing things for others that you don't even know. Doing things for those you love is another one, but people you don't know. And they found that people could experience 50% more joy by taking less than 10% of what they earned or time, either one, and donating to people they don't know. And I gotta tell you, I've been privileged enough. I've worked my ass off in my life just like you, and I've been blessed like you've been blessed. And I mean, I've had a ticket to history, you know, from Gorbachev to Princess Diana to President Clinton to, you know, you name it, you know, Pitbull and, you know, Tony Hopkins. I'm there. I've been at some of the most amazing moments in history. I've actually been there, been a part of that process. But what I've learned along the way, what I've seen along the way is that most people don't take in those victories. Most people don't experience that level of joy they deserve. And so part of what I want to do with your group here is lock that in place, like really lock in how to succeed to the highest level by leadership, by influence, by persuasion, by understanding people at a deeper level than most people do, by being so committed to their goodwill that they feel it and they'll die for you just like you'll die for them. But also, with all that great success, how are you going to have the time of your life now, not in the future? And then the giving part, my entire life changed when I got that. And I think I shared it with you. I don't think we did an interview. I think maybe just personally. Yeah. But I had an experience when I was struggling. I was working for Jim Rohn, the personal development speaker. And I was just a kid. I was like 18 years old and no, 17 years old. And I was working so hard and I love people so much. But I was learning, and in the learning, you mess up. Just in network marketing, any new business, you're going to mess up because you're in the learning phase. And I was beating myself up and going, oh my God, I'm failing, and why am I failing, and why this and this. And I was driving down a freeway not far from here, actually, in California, in a place called Pomona, California, like at midnight. And I'm driving down the freeway with my 1968 Volkswagen, and just frustrated. And all of a sudden, it's like, I got it. And I literally pulled on the side of the road. There's no cars on the road at midnight. And I had a journal. I've always kept journals. And I wrote in the journal, I still have the journal to stay, a full page. I wrote, the secret to living is giving. And I started crying. I realized I'm such a giver. But when I started to fail, I went into this pattern of trying to protect myself. And I kept thinking about me, and what I'm not getting instead of focusing on others. And I made this shift. And I'm telling you, I went and I took, and I won't take time to tell the story here in depth. Maybe I'll share it in your piece. But the long story short and a version of it is, without being very exciting about it, is I took the last money I had, and I had no intentions. I went to go feed myself at a location, an all you could eat salad bar. And a little boy walked in with his mother, and I was so moved by this little boy that I took all the money I had left after I'd loaded up. I didn't even drive my car to this place because I didn't want to spend the money on gas and parking. And I went over to this boy and I gave him all the money I had on the table. I said, you're buying your mom dinner. And I just walked out. I was the most happy and free. I should have been freaked out. I have no money. I have no plan for money. I was the most free I'd ever felt in my life because people always say, I'm going to get beyond scarcity. You'll never get beyond scarcity. You got to start beyond it. And if you were to say to me, you've mentioned to me in the past, like, what do people have to do in network marketing to be more professional? Well, first they should come train with you. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke, but you create this environment. But I think the biggest thing is they got to let go of scarcity. Because what gives network marketing a bad name is all these people running around who are fearful and like, oh, you got to get this, and the competition between them. What I found is in building any business, including network marketing, it's not the number of people, it's the right people. And it's so much better to attract those people than to be freaked out. And everybody will do some of that in the beginning, but I'm going to show people in the event have to come back into that center. So even if you are freaked out, it can disappear, change your state once again. But one thing that'll change your state is if you'll go do something for others now, not wait till you have the money. You're not going to give $1 million out of 10 million or 10 million out of 100 million ever, right? So start where you are and find the juice. And I'm telling you, Mark Benioff is one of my dearest friends from Salesforce.com, and I kind of, he says I was a major factor in instilling this giving thing in him. And now you look and he gave away 1% of his company's stock, 1% of his employees' time, and 1% of his profits. We did it when it was a little tiny company. Now they're going to do 8-9 billion this year, right? And the impact of that decision. So if your team, if your clients were to make those decisions now as they're beginning this journey, it'll be relatively easy to do something now. And if you keep doing it, you're going to prosper. My greatest, if you ask me what are the goals I'm most excited about in my life, I have 33 companies now, 12 that I actively manage. We do $5.5 billion in sales, approaching $6 billion in sales. I have them in 7 different industries, all across the board. I got 1,200 employees across 3 continents. With all that going on, which is so exciting and fun and brilliant, what excites me most is I fed 100 million people last year. I'm feeding 100 million people this year. I'm going to feed 1 billion people in 9 years. In India, where children die because of water pollution, I'm providing 100,000 people a day with fresh water. I got the goal to get it to 1 million. I'm working with my buddy Peter Diamandis on the X Prize. The biggest challenge we have for kids in the world is there's so many illiterate children, 250 million. There's no way we have enough teachers. So we've got this prize, Elon Musk and I and a group put together of $15 million. And all these groups are competing to come up with software to teach a child who doesn't know how to read, write, speak, or I should say, or code, and teach them with an iPad with no teacher on their own how to do all the above within 18 months. And this competition's going on. All of those things excite me. Buying a home for your mother, buying a truck for your father. There's nothing you're going to do that'll give you more juice than that. So if you can't do that yet, start with a little thing.
Like you said,
and let the momentum take you.
You started with the meal.
I started with the meal.
Because, what you just said is just so spectacular.
I fed 2 families. Yeah. And now I'm feeding this year. This will be 250 million families by the end of the year, 250 million.
So the people watching, if they want to know how to do that.
Start where you are.
Start where you are.
Yes.
A little bit. And it does, and when I said, give your time, not just your money.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What I don't mean is go stand on the soup line.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what these charities need is dollars.
That's totally what they need.
So use your time to raise some money.
I agree with
you. Use your time to use your influence with your community and get creative in order to be able to raise some dollars to be able to make it happen.
And quite frankly, and for some people, if they're really, really strapped, a little bit of money, but a little bit of their time.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Where they do that, because whenever you step into giving, you step out of scarcity.
Right.
And scarcity is what will keep you from succeeding in business, because people feel it in you. Right. You can have no money and not be scarce.
Right.
Right. You can be a generous soul, with your heart, with your time, with your energy, with what little money you have. Generosity is one of the largest attractive factors, I think, in the world.
Yep.
And when it's not fake, when it's not manufactured, when it's not like for stars on your chart, when you're doing it authentically, my number one desire is when I wake in the morning, before I go on stage, I say, use me, Lord. And my prayer is that I'm a blessing in the life of everybody I meet. I'm going to find a way to be a blessing to them. People feel that. You can't fake that. And it's one of the reasons 39 years later, I'm here, doing more than I've ever done in my life and enjoying life even more. So we're talking about something right now that might feel just like an idea right now, but if you do it, it's like I always tell people, a belief is a poor substitute for an experience. You can believe what China's like, but if I take you to China, you'll have an experience and it'll be real. Otherwise, it's made up in your head. Some we're talking about is a little made up in people's heads till they do it. Mm-hmm. And what I love that we do in events and why I'm committed to in events is we don't just talk about a principle or share it like we're doing now. Then we get up and do something so you get into your body and you can see, hey, this really works or it doesn't. Yeah. But if it really works and you see it works, you're going to want to use it again and again.
Well, I'll tell you, I firmly believe the reason why we went from 200 people at our events to 20,000 wasn't all our marketing. It was we started giving.
I agree with you.
I absolutely
it's giving,
and it's the spirit of it.
It's the spirit of it, and it's the spirit of what you do in your programs. The same as me. I think we share the same common belief, which is I want to do more for others than anybody on earth. Yeah. Right? That's my job. That's my brand. That's who I am. And I see you and the niche you've done with this network marketing. I think the reason you've grown like that is not only the giving you're doing outside that group, but I think the giving you do to that group. Because when people come, they get so much value in such short time for such small amount of dollars. That's why I'm coming back with you again.
Cool. Well, you're going to be bringing a surprise for us. Yes. Some new information.
Yes, I will.
So that you've learned in this last year, and I'm not going to tell you, but we're going to have a surprise for you.
Okay.
There's going to be 20,000 people that when you go on stage on Friday night, December 2nd, there's going to be a surprise for you. So just for your heart with that,
that's kind of
you. I hope you'll like it.
I'm going to just like coming to see your 20,000 people. People involved in network marketing are highly driven, highly inspired people. They're courageous people looking for the next step and looking for a vehicle. And I'll tell you what, there aren't many better vehicles than this. This business has a bad rap. And the best way to get past the bad rap is be a pro.
Right.
Do more for others than anybody else. And you'll build a brand different than network marketing as a whole. The brand will be you. Yeah. And you and the company you represent, assuming you picked a good one, and products that you represent. I mean, anyone can succeed in this business because it's not that complex. And you've eliminated the reasons 50% of businesses die in a year, 80% in 5 years, 96% of businesses are gone in 10 years. 4% survive. That doesn't mean they make any money.
Right.
That just means they're standing.
Right.
Right. And then you got like Lehman Brothers was around 100 years, had $1 trillion in gross volume, and they're gone. Right. And it's just gone. So I'm very passionate about network marketing. I'm really excited to serve your group, and I'm thrilled that you've, again, doubled the size.
Yeah, man. Awesome, it's my pleasure. So last question, two parts.
Yes.
These people that are watching this, and there'll be over 1 million people that watch this interview, easy.
Yeah.
They're hungry.
Yeah, I know that.
And between now and December, when this event happens, and we unleash all of this information, you, Sir Richard Branson, all of the people that we put on the stage over the course of 3-4 days, what advice do you have for them, number one? Mm-hmm. And number two, if they haven't decided to either get a ticket or get an online ticket, what advice would you have for the person thinking about that?
Well, you asked me, I think, that question once before, and I said, if you haven't decided, don't go. I know it's not what you were saying, but if you don't see the value in learning from Richard Branson and you and your team of people you've put together,
and you.
And me, you better try your chances on the next Spinning Planet, because it's rare you get that many people put together in a specific way for your industry, right? So, if you don't see the value, don't go. It's the wrong place. Right. Probably not what you want me to say.
No, that's fine.
But you want the people to come that are hungry and driven, and those people are smart enough that they will.
Yeah.
If you're smart, you know the value of learning by somebody else's experience. And your other question was?
Advice for the people in network marketing. What can they do to have a better experience, a better life, a better profession, a better career between now and December?
If you aren't already, my bet is most of them are. Jim Rohn was my original personal development kind of coach and teacher. He's a brilliant man. And he used to say something that was so simple. He always say, for things to get better, you got to get better. For things to change, you got to change. And he gave me this basic philosophical conditioning and programming and insights that still guide me to today. So I believe, one thing is that leaders are readers. You can't just, a standard education will give you standard results. And if you want standard results, walk outside this building and take a look here in Las Vegas and you'll see what it is. People here that are partying, entertaining, but if you look around, are most people fit? No. Are most people really energized? No. Are most people in a relationship where they're totally passionate and in love? Maybe love, not usually passionate, not long term. Are most people earning what they deserve? The answer is no. And are most people really fulfilled? Do they have a sense of passion? Do they love their work? The answer is no. So I'm no idiot. I'm not this deluded guy that thinks everybody's in this great place. But I'm also not somebody that feels deterred by that, because I'm interested in the few that do, not the many that don't. And I've been a hunter of human excellence my whole life. I find somebody, you're one of them, right? Somebody who's really brilliant and they got a good heart and I got that they really have integrity. I want to drill into their psyche, learn everything I can from me so I can improve my life and help other people. And the most fundamental first thing that I learned from Jim Rohn was feed my mind every day. Every day he says, stand guard at the door of your mind, protect it, because the world we live in, like the news is not designed to inform you. It's not designed to educate you. It's one goal, startle you. You know, your children might die by eating marshmallows, film at 11. I mean, they've always got something that's going to destroy everything on earth because they know if it bleeds, it leads. They got to jar you to get your attention. So in the world that we live in today, I think the vast majority of us have to feed our mind, because otherwise we're going to try and make our life out of the stuff that's being sent to us at your phone and texting and social media. And most of it, quite frankly, is not going to move you forward. So you got to consciously decide, what will I feed my mind? Because I'm going to build my life out of that. And for me, it was reading biographies, and it still is, and it's reading strategy and philosophy. So just taking 30 minutes. And these days, you know, you listen to audios, so you can do it while you're, what I call net time, no extra time, while you're driving, while you're working out. So I would say 30 minutes a day, no matter what, at least 5 days a week. I would say second thing is, even if it's 10 minutes every day doing something physical for 10 minutes that pushes you, because fear is physical, and so is joy, so is gratitude, so is courage. And so you feel feeling in your gut or your throat when you're really scared, you know, and when you're ready to rip something open, there's a sense of intensity in you. So training your body and your mind to work together requires that 10 minutes. 10 minutes could be a sprint. Now, if you're not in good enough shape to sprint, then a really fast walk or lifting weights. I don't give a damn if you can only lift 110 pounds. Push yourself to 111, right? Because that will to say, I'm going to push myself beyond what I think I can do. That habit is the most important habit to succeed in anything in life. I don't negotiate with this brain of mine. I don't go, are we going to do it? Can we do this? Will you join me? It's like, I've trained I say we're going to do it. We're doing it. There's no negotiation. There's no discussion. Who you're talking to? It's you, right? You know? Mm-hmm. So what I do is I jump every day in ice cold water is the first thing I do.
Yeah, I saw that in the documentary.
Yeah, 56 degrees.
Wow.
In my home, I'm fortunate enough to have, you know, lots of homes.
Yes.
And one of my homes is in Sun Valley, Idaho, and it's on a river, and I don't have one there. I jump in the river. It's snowing, and I go in the river. And it's like, you know, 39 degrees kind of thing, right? But what it does, I do it for two reasons. I do it because it's so transforming physical, because when all that blood rushes through all your organs, it cleanses them, it moves your lymph. But the main reason I do it is to teach my brain that when I say this is what we're going to do, there is no discussion, there is no hesitancy. So I wake up, and my brain's like, there's no way we're doing this thing. It's too freaking cold. I'm too tired. And it's just like, move over. We're doing this. And I've done it so often now that my brain knows that when I say we're going, we're doing it, there's no hesitancy. And there is such value in that training of your mind and your body. So reading, doing something physical, 10 minutes physical. It doesn't have to be 2 hours. If you do 2 hours, wonderful. But third, I would really get crystal clear on what I call 3 to thrive or 5 to thrive. What are the 3 to 5 most important things, and why are they a must for you, not a should? Because if you don't decide what you want for your life, you're going to show up for whatever everybody else pitches to you, leads you to, and so forth. So I really believe that too many goals, you're overwhelmed. Most people's brains go 1, 2, 3, many, you know. So 3 to 5 things that are the most important with the why. So you're crystal clear what you want. You're stronger physically. You're stronger emotionally than you've ever been. What I do fourthly, I'd find myself a great role model, start studying them. So Richard would be a great one, right? And the cool thing about today, me, Richard, anybody, is we're all online now. We've got books. You can read their books. You can watch online interviews with people. You can go to YouTube. I mean, you can follow us on Instagram and see what Richard's life's like every day. You can literally model people in a way you and I could never have done as children, right? And, you know, or young adults. It's all there for you. So be physical, train your mind, find yourself a great role model, be crystal clear in your 3 to 5. And the fifth one I'd say is go find somebody now who's doing worse than you are and help them in a very simple way. And the reason is because it'll remind you what a great life you have. I mean, we go, feed people every Thanksgiving and Christmas all over the world. And it's amazing when you go to a place there and you were feeling horrible about your life and you see somebody has no food and you bring food to them. And we always go as the delivery person, even though we bought the food, so they don't have to thank us. But they're so grateful, and you see the other side of life, and it's all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, I'm grateful. And the great thing about gratitude is the two emotions, Eric, that screw up everybody, especially in network marketing and in any profession. It's fear and it's anger. I mean, these are the two that just screw us up. And you can't be grateful and fearful simultaneously. That's the beauty. And you can't be angry and fearful simultaneously or grateful simultaneously. So gratitude is a beautiful piece. So when you go do something for someone else, you'll feel that gratitude for your life. So those would be 5 quick things they could do.
Well, those are amazing. That's a seminar. It's by itself. Just an Insta seminar. Unbelievable. Tony, thank you.
Thank you, man. I really enjoy our time, Eric.
Thank you for giving to our community. Thank you for your ideas. Thank you for your consistent and constant learning. Thank you for your energy. I don't know how you do it. It's unbelievable. I'll train for 3 days, 6 hours a day, and everybody calls me Iron Man. You're like it's on another. You're like, that would be like an appetizer. It's like nothing for you to watch this guy go for 12 straight hours, no problem, while everybody else is like, whoa. And you're halfway through and you're taking the time to do this. You're the man. I appreciate you very much.
I enjoy you so much.
All right,
I'm looking forward to spending time with you here in December.
Yeah, I can't wait.
God bless.
All right.